This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
Freaking.com. Freaking.com.
I think the sign of any good ideology is that you can boil it down into a very small number of words. I used to try and boil my ideology, which is probably your ideology too. I tried to boil it down into one sentence, and I thought I was pretty successful. The sentence was, you should be able to do anything that doesn't harm or threaten others. I still think that's one of the most useful ways to put it when talking to people. I usually substitute their name. If your name was, well, even if your name was Joseph Stalin, I would say to you, you, Joseph Stalin, have the right, or you, Joseph Stalin, should be able to do anything that doesn't harm or threaten others. Sometimes I would say that to reporters if they asked the right question, and I'd just substitute their name and say it. But I think it's possible to get the philosophy down to an even smaller number of words, and I've got it down to 2 words now. Our philosophy, I think, it's certainly mine, is 2 words. Oppose aggression. Now I have to make clear how I'm defining aggression here. There are multiple meanings of the word, and some types of aggression are much worse than others. I'm simply defining aggression as the initiation of force or fraud. Harmful fraud. I guess the thing I like best about defining my philosophy this way is that it's actually sort of always been my philosophy. I just wasn't as consistent about it when I was younger. When I was in my teens and 20s, oppose aggression generally meant oppose the Soviet Union because it was the most powerful, aggressive power in the world at that time. Or at least it was the most aggressive, powerful power in the world at that time. I had, I guess, a philosophy a lot like George Orwell's, anti-totalitarian. But eventually, when you nice folks pointed out to me the aggression that was done within democracy, I had to just expand what I was against. But again, the phrase is not be against aggression, it's oppose aggression, so it's an active philosophy. I think one way that you can take this philosophy into a conversation, is say someone's talking to you about how they like Obamacare, or we needed the bailouts, or something like that, or we needed gun control. Well, instead of debating them on that branch, you try to take them to the root and debate them there. Probably it's a root where you agree. Can we go back, ma'am, to the point where you and I agree? Because we do have some points of agreement. Well, yes, I guess we could do that. Can you agree with me that aggression is bad, that it is good to oppose aggression? Well, she might want you to define aggression, or she might say, yeah, I guess we can agree on that. And you can say, well, personally, I see a little bit of aggression in the whole idea of gun control, and let me explain to you why that's there, and why, if you oppose aggression, you might actually be willing to join me in opposing gun control. In order to have, say, a law against long-range sniper rifles, you would have to go through an expensive legal process in the legislature that would be at the expense of taxpayers.
Columbia Police search warrant! Columbia Police search warrant!
You'd have to have an expensive enforcement process, which would again be forced on taxpayers. You would have to come into the homes of and the cars of suspected sniper rifle owners, many of whom, by the way, are your friends and neighbors. Some of them just like marksmanship as a hobby. Others would like to be able to protect their neighborhood in the event of a disaster, by having a device that's extremely accurate, and thus is less of a threat to the wrong person. You have to drag them into a cage. You have to do things that hurt their family. But again, most importantly, all of this you are billing to the taxpayer, who many of these taxpayers disagree with you on this policy. They don't want to underwrite it, but you're making them underwrite it. It's an act of aggression. Yes, it's being perpetrated against perhaps a relatively controversial type of person. But in order to do it, you've got to hurt your friends and neighbors who don't have anything to do with it. You got to take money out of their wallets. So that's why I'm saying, in advocating this policy, you're the one being violent against the sniper rifle owner. Unless he's made a threat or committed an act, he hasn't done anything violent or aggressive. So, no disrespect intended here, but I think by accident you're sort of proposing something that is aggressive, aggressively violent. It's not consistent with your anti-war activism, sir. Oh, don't say that. So in this scenario, you're talking to a woman. But, you get my point. But again, it all comes down to two words: oppose aggression. All you have to do is convince your opponent that what they're doing is aggression, because they already oppose aggression. It will probably take them years, if they ever do start agreeing with you, to admit that they agree with you on this. So don't try and win them over in one day.
Keene, New Hampshire, the capital of libertarian civil disobedience. The folks over at freekeene.com believe this is the place you should be if you believe in peaceful non-cooperation. freekeene.com invites you to the beautiful hills of western New Hampshire and invites you to join their peaceful evolution. freekeene.com